Ghost of Sparta? Kind of an obvious title. It's like if the Zelda U game was going to be called Hero of Hyrule, but I suppose we don't come to God of War for clever wordplay. Betrayal subtitle? Seriously? Well, I came into this game thinking pretty low of it. I remembered someone saying it had a 5-hour campaign, so I thought it was going to be a contrived lot just so Santa Monica could push out another game like what they did with Ascension. You have to work for the intrigue in this little number, since the reason that Kratos decides to leave his throne is because he had a bad thought of something he barely remembers, and decides to sail halfway across the world to figure out what it means. It's a ridiculous premise, but remember, in fantasy games this usually leads to something. I mean, this is a hack and slash. There's no way we'd be playing silly buggers half the time. The game ramps up in its usual way when we get through a couple levels, and up until we find Callisto, it's pretty humdrum God of War stuff. The usual combat hasn't changed, we just got a laser attack that's difficult to use, and a lot of enemies seem to be suffering from heavy copy-pasting. But then you pay witness to Kratos' mother being transfigured into some sort of ghoulish aberration of her former self. She's all hunched over, her teeth are all jagged, random pieces of razor bone, and the face-to-face combat where the player and her are in a death struggle of who's going to be smashed into a wall makes this the moment the game turns. Ghost of Sparta is no doubt the Twilight Princess of its series, and that makes it the best game in the whole damn bit, because when compared to the original that had an Ocarina of Time feel where Kratos was the destined champion of Olympus and he had every system behind him, and the gods just set Ares up to fall on his sword, but then Ghost of Sparta pulls out some of the off-brand Greek mythology and it ends up making the game quite a depressing journey. Sure, some of it is Kratos' fault, but it happens so indirectly that it seems like the world around him is becoming the universe's chew toy. One of the first things you do in the game after you find Callisto is destroy a bunch of Atlantean machinery in the nearby volcano, and that causes an eruption that sinks Atlantis, and when you revisit, the entire area is nearing total submersion, tons of people are dead from desperation, suicide, or drowning. Then there's the point where Kratos meets Thera, a fire-based titan who's trapped in a wall, and asks Kratos for help escaping. But then Kratos just murders her for her powers. Later on, Kratos meets King Midas for some reason. He just petrified his own daughter, and his deterioration has led straight to madness, and he accidentally burns off his own hand because of a hallucination. We meet up with him again in this weakened state. He is ripe for a Kratos plan. I thought he was just gonna kill him and take his crown. But no, instead Kratos throws him body and all into the lava and petrifies him with his own curse, forever living in a sedentary eternal. The ending of the game is built up with a lot of emotion in its tone and atmosphere, and while this would make lesser developers break, Santa Monica set that shit off and immediately had Deimos, the entire reason Kratos was on this journey to the ancient depths of the damned, reject his help, and turn on him. The duel is brutal, incredibly painful, and an almost equal showdown with Deimos pulling a lot of the same long string combos that Kratos has had the privilege to have for several games, and when the fight ends, Deimos beats him to a freaking pulp before Thanatos steals him, setting up the final battle where Deimos and Kratos work together to defeat the god of death. The teamwork battle for Thanatos works oddly well, giving Deimos a fully fledged AI alongside a Deimos attack button for Kratos, and it works even better in the QTEs, since Deimos dies at the end from a seemingly normal attack, and Kratos gets a Jack the Ripper style ultimate mode where it just curb stomps Thanatos to pieces. The game ends on an extraordinarily sad scene where Kratos had Callisto and Deimos buried side by side through Zeus's Gravedigger's handiwork, and while the Gravedigger was barely a cameo character with 2 appearances including this one, his addition to the game was masterfully done. His remastered design is brilliant, his voice actor is top-notch, and his appearance is strangely foreboding, mostly because we see him first in the volcano where we found Midas and Thera.
Try if you must, but you will not succeed. You will never find him. And in the wake of your destruction, you have sunk the only path to your salvation.
While the game's strengths are found in the story, with most of the other bosses in the game being middling on top of their flaws, and a lot of the enemies in-game are slaves to the copy-paste protocol, the combat is still spot-on, intuitive, and flawless as ever, if a bit hampered by not having the stellar animation polish the original game had, but it did add something new that should catch on. The fire meter is the power we get after Kratos kills Thera. Its main use is an archaic key and puzzle solver, but in actual combat, it's a temporary boost to damage and status ailment against enemies. I like the mechanics so much because a lot of God of War weapons that add extra damage are fiddly to use. As much as I like the Blade of Athena from the original, the loss of range attacks is definitely a buzzkill. But here in Ghosts of Sparta, to get a similar weapon, all you need to do is hold down R1. That's it, just one button and you get a Blade of Athena style upgrade for a few seconds. The downside is that the fire meter gets upgrades like your health bar, so it's heartbreaking to find those tokens when you're looking for the Gorgon Eyes. The game is another example of a title that justified the PlayStation Portable, and from it and games like Metal Gear Acid and Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, I'm starting to think that a handheld might win my favorite console of all time. It shows the beauty of off-brand AAA because Santa Monica was able to plunge some more creativity into it, write a story that does its own thing outside of what the audience expects, and I appreciate the whole hog attitude of it because almost everything in this game is to just build atmosphere and tone on top of each other, from the environments, the characters you meet, to what Kratos is forced to do in order to save his family. For this game, I'd recommend it at any price, disc or emulation, because it's a standout in the series and how it took a turn for the dark and grim, especially considering the ultimate goal is called the Domain of Death, and somehow all the gods have fear respect for it. I'm hoping that in comparison, God of War 2 doesn't just fall at the first hurdle, but I like to keep myself in suspense. So until next time, this has been Kaz the Bosscinerator, wishing you a victory for gamers.